episode of Swami Shivananda Vani for Seekers of God. That is, the spiritual talks of Mahapurush Maharaj Swami Shivanandji. Now, let's see what we are going to do in today's episode. So, we are going to today do Swamiji's Wandering. Sri Ramakrishna drew him into intense activity. Doing God's work is also spiritual practice. The master chooses his own instruments. He will see that egoism does not gain a hold. So we will start here. The place today is not Belur Monastery, it is Devakshar, Vedantic Dham, and time is 1926. So in 1926, Mahapurushji had gone to Devakshar. So this is where all these talks have been recorded. Mahapurushji went to Devakshar with some sadhus and brahmacharis for the opening of the buildings of the Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapith on its own new land there. His august presence there was a source of continuous joy and festivity, and the holy contact with him kindled new spiritual hope and inspiration in all hearts. Great indeed was his joy also to stay in that sacred place of pilgrimage. One day, when several sadhus and brahmacharis had gathered before him, a monk requested, "Maharaj, please tell us something about your pilgrimages. We are very eager to hear about them." With a smile, Mahapurushji said, "When will you gain, or what will you gain? By just listening to those old anecdotes? There was a time when we did all that a great deal, but now the Master has dragged us into this current of work. This is what is required for the propagation of his message in this age. That is why the Master is getting some of his work done by us even in this old age. What we had planned for ourselves and had actually been following was a life of austerity and spiritual practice. But would the Master leave us to do that? See how Swamiji himself, that is Swami Vivekananda, had to depart prematurely owing to incessant strenuous work. Many a time did he go away to the Himalayas for intense tapasya, spiritual practice and austerities. But each time somebody dragged him down from the lap of the mountains. He started moving through Rajasthan and other places and had contact for work with quite a number of Rajas and Maharajas. In the course of his wanderings, he reached Porbandar. That princely state was then without a ruler and it was in a very chaotic condition. So the British government appointed Sri Shankara Rao Panduranga administrator of that state. He was a very learned, intelligent, able, and honest man. He had traveled extensively in Europe and had learnt French and German quite well. In his house, he had a big library of its own. He was very studious by nature. This library attracted Swamiji very much. When he expressed his feelings to Sri Shankara Rao, the latter said with great delight, "You can stay here as long as you like and study." So Swamiji stayed there for some time. Sri Shankara Rao was a master of Sanskrit. One day he said to Swamiji, "To tell you the truth, Swamiji, when I first read the scriptures, it seemed as though they contained no truth, as though it was all a figment of the brains of the writers of those books, as though they had written as the fancies fleeted across their minds. But after seeing and keeping company with you intimately, my idea has changed. Now it strikes me that our religious literature, is all true. I noticed in the West that the thinking people there are very eager to be acquainted with our philosophies and scriptures. Now, this is the reason कि हमको साधु की कंपनी रखनी चाहिए, तभी हमें पता चलता है कि scriptures are so important. But they had not yet come across anyone who can explain our scriptures to them properly. It would be a real achievement if you could go to the West and explain to them our Vedic religion. Now, see how the master's work starts? In reply, Swamiji said, "That is a good proposal. I am a sannyasi. To me, there is no difference between this country and that. I shall go when the need arises." Sri Shankara Rao added, "If one wants to mix with the elite there, one has to learn French language. Please learn it, I shall help you." And so Swamiji learnt that language well enough. I was then in Alam Bazar Mutt. Swamiji had been traveling for about 2 years without giving any news about himself. Nobody knew his whereabouts, and he had not even seen the Alam Bazar Mutt. One day, all of a sudden, a letter of full 4 pages came from him. None of us could make out in what language it was written. Shashi Maharaj, that is Swami Ramakrishna Nanda, and Sharda, that is Swami Trigunatithananda ji, had some ideas of French. After a close examination, they said, "It seems to be a letter from Noreen, that is Swami Vivekananda, written in French." Then we had to run with that letter to Aghor Chatterjee in Calcutta. He had been the principal of Hyderabad State College and knew French very well. He read the letter and translated it into Bengali for us. Only then did we come to know Swamiji's whereabouts and that he had learned French. Well, I told you at the start that Swamiji had planned to spend his whole life in meditation, japa, and other spiritual practices. But the great power that descended as Sri Ramakrishna did not allow him to do so. It yoked him to the work of propagating the message of the age that would save the world. The master yogi that Swamiji was, he could easily have spent his days in samadhi if he had only wanted to do so. But the master drew him into the midst of intense activity. He has engaged all of you as well to give shape to his message. Blessed are the men whom he has chosen. A monk. But surely are austerities not necessary for spiritual struggle? You too have undergone a lot of them, Mahapurushji. Yes, spiritual exercises are very necessary, and so also are austerities. The only means of keeping the course of one's life directed towards God is spiritual effort. But why should one think that this spiritual struggle and austerity can have only one form? Look here, for instance, what sufferings you undergo and what a fight you have to wage against adverse circumstances to carry on God's work. This too is a kind of austerity and spiritual struggle. The one idea that you always have to keep burning in your heart is that whatever you do is for His sake, for His service, nothing for yourself. This too is a kind of spiritual practice. Out of His grace, He has chosen you as His instrument, and that has made your life blessed. Know it for certain that for establishing the religion of the age, Yuga Dharma, He does not depend on any particular person. The fortunate ones alone are able to work for Him. I have seen quite a number of people with singular qualities, but the Master does not choose them. There are others, again, who to all outward appearance are good for nothing, and yet the Master makes them work wonders. Anyone who gets an opportunity to do his work is a blessed person. That is why Swamiji would say that if it pleases him, he can create 100,000 Vivekanandas. Have this idea ever bright in your mind that by doing His work, we ourselves become blessed. Be assured, when you engage yourself in His work, you will, as a matter of course, get devotion, faith, and other such things. There can be no doubt about that. As compared with spiritual struggles of those who roam about in hills and forests and live on alms, your struggles are in no way inferior. For one's own salvation and for the good of the world, that is the message for this age. A monk. In the midst of work, one is often engulfed by pride and egoism. Mahapurushji, so long as you have this idea clear in your mind that you are doing God's work, you cannot have pride or anything like that. If you have correct attitude, you need not have any fear. Along with work, you should practice meditation and japa regularly. That helps in maintaining a balance. A little intrusion of pride and egoism is not a thing to be worried about, for God Himself will pull you under the circumstances necessary for the wiping out of that little defect. As for pride and egoism, there can come even to a man engaged in austerities in solitude, who may then think that he has become a big ascetic. What matters, is sincerity of purpose. If one is false to oneself, one can have neither true spiritual practice nor true service. If you are true to yourself, if your thoughts and actions are in accord with each other, pride and egoism can never keep a hold on you, whether you are engaged in spiritual practice or service to God. You must be ever watchful about the goal. You must never forget the aim of life. So, the aim of life is spiritual attainment or attaining God. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Do stay tuned to Devakshar, like and share our videos, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for being with us. Namaskar.